Well, hello, my YouTube friends. So this is my 458. I bought a Wilson upper, and you can see I got those pins right there. And yeah, there's a problem with it. We'll get to that in an upcoming video. I got this fitting pin right there holding the trigger in. I bought this upper from Wilson. Put a Trigicon on it. Anyway, so it's 458. It kicks pretty good, and this stock is not going to work. I mean, it works, but this is not the ideal stock for a 458. I had a different one on it from Lewis Machining Tools. I had a narrow rubber butt pad right here. As you can see, I'm not using this one. I have used it in the past. So I took that stock off, put it on a different gun, and because it wasn't helping me here until I get this trigger situation sorted out. You can see I'm missing the selector. But in the meantime, I went to the hardware store to get asked me if they had a crush washer because they do have a small gun department. They said, no, go next door to Tactical and Practical. I'm like, what's that? Well, yeah, there's a gun shop over here. I'm like, oh, okay, I'd never heard of it, didn't know they were there. So I went over there the next day, and he had a lot of stuff. He had the crush washers I need, but he also had this Magpul stock, and I already took it out of the box. There's something rattling around in there. Might be the sticker. And I also bought from him this enhanced rubber butt pad, the pussy pad, whatever you want to call it. Right? We used to look down on guys who put these on their shotguns. So, and the reason for that is, so here's the stock. And we're up close on it. So here's the Magpul ACS, whatever that stands for. And we'll take a closer look at it. So it's got a couple features. It has a little compartment right here. And it has the quick detach sling swivel attachment that goes like right here. And it could fit on either side. You know, whatever sling you're going to use. And it also had this plastic bullet. So I was wondering what that was for. And it also has two compartments. Now these compartments and the shape of the cheek piece right here, as it were, that's what I was most interested in. Because of the recoil of the 458, I wanted the more comfortable. The other stock I had on it was, like I said, was an LMT, but it had this shape. Now this one has a line right there, a ridge. We'll have to see if that becomes an issue or not. I guess we'll find out. And it's got these two battery compartments. I don't know how many batteries or what size batteries they hold, but I was definitely interested in that. Because my intention is, there we go, I want to add weight to this gun, to this 458. So I'm thinking about what I can put in here, and I'll have to investigate further what fits nice and how can I add some weight to help soften the recoil, absorb some of the recoil. So this was my first step, just getting, you know, a stock, getting this gun its own stock instead of going back and forth with the other ones. Okay, so this word bullet. Okay, this thing right here, and everything's so fancy these days, right? Nothing can just be like, no one sells a Ford Pinto anymore. Everything's got to have sensors and cameras and automatic this and power that, and you know what I mean? Nobody can just sell a basic sliding stock. You know, this thing it's supposed to, and I guess we'll find out, it's an anti-vibration or something. I guess it's going to help prevent that kind of wobble. All right, whatever. I mean, that amount of wobble never bothered me before. But then, and so, all right, you depress that to lower, and you can't really see it in there, to lower that little locking stud. But then I'm like, okay, so how do you get it on and off? Okay, with this style, as most of you may know, and if not, just grab this right here. So here's the, do that to slide. Okay, but to remove it, you're going to pull up and give it that extra, yeah, you're going to pull up on it right there, and that'll give you the clearance, whoops, to remove it. And we'll do that in a minute, probably do that off camera. In this case, and I got to read the instructions again, the instructions are included. It's said to take this plastic bullet that they included and then jam it in here. There's a, like I said, I'll have to read the instructions again. We just jam that in there and then pry up on it or something. I don't know. I got to, like I said, I got to read the instructions on paper. And this, okay, I got 2 Allen head screws, so I'm going to pull that off and put this rubber butt pad on it. And it included 2 new screws. You know, these screws are pretty new. I'll check them out. I don't know if I'll reuse them or just go with these since they have the Loctite on it already. Okay, let me do that and then I'll bring it back. Okay, I got the enhanced butt pad on it, and so it's held in place. It's got these 2 hooks right here and 2 screws. In order to depress the hook, I had to move these out of the way and then get in there with my Allen wrench and kind of push it down and then pull out with it after I had removed the 2 screws. So that was, and then putting it back together, I was trying to figure out where the hooks go, because it's not, you know, that readily visible. It's all black, and then, you know, it's how the plastic thing is. So I found it was easier if I put this back in place, and then that would help guide, that would let me know where it was. But it only took a minute, okay, to get that on there. It's on there. So before we go further, let's do a comparo, because here's like the other butt stock I had on it before, and this one is a Lewis machine and tool. It was given to me by one of my sister's then boyfriend, and this dude's name was Robert. Man, I love this guy. I was so mad when they broke up. He was a Marine. I mean, his house, it was like an armory. I mean, this dude had a bunch of nice weapons, ARs, some 30 caliber AR, you know, I guess AR-10s. I mean, he had some nice 1911s. He liked the Smith & Wesson, one of the newer Smith & Wesson striker-fired ones. I forget which one, but he had that. I mean, and so this was just like one of his cast-offs. I don't know how it got bent right there. So he gave this to me, and I used it. It's nice. I mean, it's, you know, I needed one at the time, and it has like the soft butt pad. And so I was curious to see. This one don't really seem softer, about the same, I guess. But the cheek piece, so there's the cheek piece, and you can see it's smooth, and I like that. I like that's much more comfortable. Now I don't, you know, and that one has that ridge right there, and I haven't fired this one yet. I don't know if that's going to become irritating or not. The Lewis machining tool is shorter, and I'm doing this with the Apple iPad, and so let me see here. So I lined up the 2 openings right there. Right there's, okay, so that's the same length right there. But then on this end, you can see that one's a little bit longer. So it's going to increase my length of pull a little bit, which is not a problem. I mean, if I have to, I'll move in one adjustment notch, right? Okay, let's go ahead and I'll put this on the lower receiver. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so I was able to install the sliding stock, right, as I knew I would be. But there's a couple issues with this stock. Now, this device right here, this anti-wobble shaking device, so with it in the open position, all right, you can see that little bit of movement. And now with it closed, all right, so it performs its intended purpose. If that's an issue for you, if that little bit of movement is an issue. Now, over time, it may be more movement as it wears down. To me, that was never a problem. Okay, but to solve that non-problem, Magpul created other problems. Okay, now, with this style, right, you just pull on this, right? No extra tools, nothing, you just, I mean, everything you need is always right there. It's still a, it's still, a one-piece move, yeah, and that's because it's bent right here, so that system works. Now, to solve that wobble problem, they went with this. So in order to raise the locking stud or the locking pin, whatever it's called, right, instead of just pulling on that lever, okay, you have to, okay, that'll be closed. So once you depress that lever, that pops up. Now you have to hold this in its down position. And you can see right here, that's part of the locking stud right there, or the locking pin. All right, and that's on both sides. Right there, see it moving? Okay, now, see this little cutout right here? And then you can see that's the locking pin right there. It looks like it has a screw or something on it. Okay, in order to raise that enough to get the stock on and off, you have to hold that in that position. Let me see if I can focus. If I can zoom in. And I don't have like a little flashlight with me, but okay, in the round piece, now you have to take this plastic pointer and jam it in a little hole that's in the side of that pin, like right in there. And you got to really work it in there. All right, kind of get it in. All right, holding this open. You got to get that into that pin, and then once that's in there and that tip has engaged that little hole in the end of that, then you can pivot, you can push down or up on this bullet, and that will raise that enough to get it on. So what I had to do, like the instructions show you putting it partially on the tube and then getting in here and going and doing that. What I did was I didn't put this on the tube. I held it in my hand so I could push down and got it in there, and I had to figure out, what this was. I thought it just like went in here. If you look at the instructions, okay, right here, step 2. Okay, and it shows you on this one the bullet tip going into, the little hole in the end of the locking pin. but it's not that easy to get it in there. I thought it would be easier to use this end of this cleaning rod and get that in there, but it was too wide. It's not pointed enough. Now maybe I could get a different steel rod and sharpen it, as it were, because, let me zoom back out. If you look at this, at the tip of this bullet, you can see it's starting to get chewed up already. Let me focus. Right, so how many uses will this little bullet be good for before I have to sharpen down, before I have to make a tool, a steel tool that can easily grab it and then still be strong enough to go like that with it, to pry that up. It only has to hold it for a second, right? And then you can slide the whole thing on and off. So that's a big pain in the ass. That's a big pain in the ass. Magpul, if you watch this video. And all of that was created, that big problem, that installation hassle, was created by this anti-vibration, because that amount of movement bothered somebody. I don't know who it bothered. And there's another problem now. Okay, so you see this bolt right here? And here's the quick detach socket or whatever. The quick detach socket is round. You see that? And it's got those threads on, or not threads, with those ridges on it right there. Okay, now with this being round, I'm not sure how. And then if I try to tighten this, zoom back out. Oops. Okay, so when I go to tighten this, and it has that dried yellow thread locker, if I tighten this, the whole thing turns. Okay, well, you'll believe me if I tell you that there's nothing to stop. You can see it right there on the other side. There's nothing to stop it from turning. Now, if I push it hard this way, I don't know if those ridges are supposed to gouge into this plastic here, but they don't really hold it. Right, I'm pushing hard with my finger, trying to get some friction, and it's just turning. So that's impossible to tighten. There's no flats on this. Right, if you damage this, if you damage it, you won't be able to get your quick detach pin in there. So that's not a good design either. That's a bad design. This should have had a hex on it and it fit into a recessed hex, or at least a flat or something, because that's not working. Now this screw, if it didn't have the Loctite on it, you could use a liquid Loctite, but then once it hardened, you'd still have to grab this and crush it with pliers to prevent it from turning. Then you can unscrew it right here. So that's a one use. If you can get it installed, that's a one use item right there. So another fail, and then this whole big hassle right here. But besides that, that seems okay, I guess. I don't know. We'll try it out. I guess that's about as soft as a butt pad as you're going to get. Hard kicking rifles are what they are. I mean, it is a 458. After I get this trigger assembly problem sorted out, I'll show you guys what happened there. But in the meantime, I'm going to wrap this up. We're going to go to the verse of the day. And for the verse of the day, we're going to go to the book of Romans. And it's going to be Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. So let me zoom in. Romans 12:1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. All right, my friends, you have a good day.